certainly it's still evolving what's happening today.
Yeah, absolutely. And the change in Helene's path could increase the potential for widespread power outages.
Yeah, Jeff Brooks from Duke Energy is here. Jeff, thank you so much for making time to speak with us today. We've already reported so many outages in the state. The last time I checked the map, we were talking about more than 400,000 customers total across the state, not just Duke Energy, but other providers as well. Tell me a little bit about the preparations that you have been making to this point and the strategy for restoring the power.
Well, that number has increased significantly since your last update. We're up to 1.2 million customers out across the state now. Most of that is in the upstate of South Carolina, about 400,000 there, and then a large quantity up in the Asheville area, mountains all the way over into the Charlotte area. So pretty significant outages that we're seeing. We did prepare for a large scale outage event. We have about 10,000 line and tree workers in the state and the Carolinas that are ready to respond. They are staged in the Charlotte area, in the upstate, so they are in the right places, many of them, to be able to push into those hard hit areas. And then certainly we have the option to move resources from the central and eastern portions of the Carolinas over to those hard hit areas once the storm clears and we determine there's no impacts here. So we do have a strategy that's scalable, that can be concentrated, and certainly that'll be something that we're looking at very closely this morning.
And Jeff, how do you make sure that your linemen are safe? I mean, of course, we want to get the power on as quickly as possible, selfishly, but how do you make sure your crews are safe out there? Because that's really important.
Yeah, that's right. Safety is our first priority, and our goal is to get everybody back home at the end of the day after working in really challenging conditions. So when winds get above 29 miles per hour, we really can't raise the buckets into the air to be able to do that overhead work. And so there are sometimes some stand downs for that reason. We can do some things, but right now, in much of the area that's impacted, the winds are still just too high to be able to get out. It'll probably be this afternoon before we see a lot of large scale work in those areas. And, obviously we have to put that safety of our crews first. They are working with high voltage electricity. They are working in high winds. And that's just something that we have to be extra careful about.
And obviously safety is super important, and you've mentioned before how people definitely make sure they're careful driving around crews that are there. Last thing for you, in terms of people who may be a little concerned about their power being off for a long time, can you just talk a little bit about, again, that self-healing technology? That's something you guys try to have in place so that if outages happen, you try to get the power restored as soon as possible.
That's right, Chris. We've made a lot of improvements to our system. We've upgraded the poles and wires to make them stronger and more resistant to outages. We trim trees, and this self-healing technology automatically detects a power outage and looks for ways to reroute that power to other lines to reduce the number of customers that are impacted. It's a huge tool during major storms. About half the benefits that we receive in a year from this technology happen during storms. So it's definitely being employed today. It doesn't take the tree off the line. It doesn't fix the broken pole, but it can reduce the number of customers that are affected and give our crews a little bit of an edge as they work to restore power.
All right, Jeff Brooks with Duke Energy. We thank you for your time and thank you for all the work that you guys do to turn the power back on.
Thank you.
Sure.